How's it going, everyone? This is Jack here with the Commander's Wire, and we have some more breaking news to share. If you guys haven't known already, David Blough was just hired as the next offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. Now, this is not exactly a home run hire when looking at it at face value, but when you really dig deep, this was the right decision, especially with Mike McDaniel almost certainly getting a head coaching job after completing his first interview with the Titans recently. David Blough, he brings some continuity to the Commanders' offense, mixing some stuff from Cliff Kingsbury, as well as some things from guys like Ben Johnson, who he used to work under to create a hybrid offense that allows Jaden to slowly adapt to a more Shanahan-style offense. I think this familiar face definitely puts Jaden in the best position because he already has a strong relationship with David Blough since the day he was drafted. For some context, David Blough was a quarterback at Purdue and had a very short career in the NFL where I believe he was a backup quarterback for the Lions for some time before hanging up the cleats and becoming a coach. And 3 years later, he is named as the Commanders' offensive coordinator. He had a lot of buzz around his name, with some requests from other teams. Coincidentally, the Lions also reached out to interview him for their vacant offensive coordinator position, but Adam Peters and Dan Quinn decided it was best to lock him up and give him the job now. Blough follows a long list of past Redskins positional coaches who have made it big and become successful coaches. Some names like Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, and even Kevin O'Connell. Those are some coaches that have been in the building, whether they're coordinators or positional coaches, over the last 10 to 15 years. And many people besides me agree that David Blough has a ton of potential here in Washington to lead out the franchise back into the NFC Championship where he once competed just 2 seasons ago. I think this is a great choice from Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. I think that he brings, like I said before, familiar face and some continuity to Jaden Daniels to allow him to continue on the trajectory that he was just 2 seasons ago during his rookie year. This continuity that David Blough brings will just put Jaden Daniels, like I said, in the best position possible. We all know that great quarterbacks, they're always able to adapt to any new scheme or reading a defense and having to adapt the game plan. The best position that any quarterback could be in is a position that's familiar to them, rather than going out and changing their scheme and changing the way they play every season. Unfortunately, because of this breaking news, I had to switch things up a little bit. This video was originally supposed to be about potential offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders and current tight ends coach for the Cowboys, Lunda Wells. To summarize, Lunda Wells is a coach like David Blough who moved up the ranks relatively quickly. He's a friend of Dan Quinn and a coach that is loved by everyone, the locker room, the front office, and even reporters. He is someone that would be a home run hire if coming to Washington to either be now an offensive line coach to fill in recently fired Bobby Johnson, or to even become a tight end coach like he currently is now if our current tight end coach is let go. And speaking of that, this brings up the question, why was Bobby Johnson fired in the first place? Many speculated that this firing would result in Brian Daboll being Washington's next offensive coordinator, but that has obviously not come to fruition. It's surprising because our offensive line was one of our better units over the course of this dumpster fire of a season, but that still was not enough to keep Bobby Johnson in Washington. One thing that it could be is, like I said before in previous videos, the changing from a gap scheme to a more zone scheme. I believe that Dan Quinn may want to bring in some other new faces to this organization, one like Lunda Wells, like mentioned before, or even a proven coach like Dwayne Ledford, who was with the Falcons and could soon be let go as a result of the Falcons changing their regime. If you didn't know already, the Falcons' offensive line has been statistically one of the better offensive lines this past season, so bringing in a guy like Dwayne Ledford would be a very smart move for Dan Quinn to make. Either way, more news will come out soon regarding the filling out of the rest of the coaching staff, in which we'll get a better picture of what Adam Peters and Dan Quinn are planning on doing this upcoming season. Next, we have had some more interviews take place for our defensive coordinator position. We've had Kansas City Chiefs defensive line coach Joe Cullen. He currently is the defensive line coach for the Chiefs. However, he used to be the Jaguars defensive coordinator back in 2021, so he does have some play calling experience. I believe the Commanders are doing their due diligence and talking to as many people as possible. It is also possible that some of these guys who are interviewing for coordinator roles could also be hired for other roles, like a positional coach once the offseason officially starts. Like I mentioned before, a guy like Lunda Wells. Some other news I wanted to bring up was Commanders cornerback Marshon Lattimore was recently arrested in the state of Ohio for illegally concealed carrying a weapon on his person after getting stopped by the police. This is the second time an incident like this happened, the first being in 2021, and this is just plain stupid on Marshon Lattimore's part. Currently, he's being paid $18.5 million for the 2026 season. None of that is guaranteed, and I think is probably in the Commanders' best interest to cut him before the 2026 season starts because Obviously, his performance on the field has not been great, and we all know that he tore his ACL recently, and so he has almost zero trade value left. And on top of that, after this incident, I don't think any team will want to bring him in. The next thing I wanted to touch on is just something that I saw on X recently from Grant Paulson. He was showing some statistics comparing Bill's rookie season as well as with Brian Robinson's best season here in Washington. He compares success rate, yards, as well as yards per attempt. Starting with success rate, Bill had a 53.7 compared to Brian Robinson's 52.7. Bill had 805 yards this rookie season, and Brian Robinson had a career high with Washington's 799 yards. Bill had a 4.6 yards per attempt, and in Brian Robinson's best season with Washington, he finished with a 4.3 yards per attempt. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Brian Robinson. In my opinion, I don't think we ever should have traded him. I think he was perfectly fine. Having that dual threat quarterback in Jaden Daniels adds a lot to the run game, rather than just having to focus on Brian Robinson in the run game. On top of that, having Austin Eckler back there, blocking and catching out of the backfield really helps with that run game, especially on third down. But statistics don't lie. Bill had a very rocky season with the Commanders. There are some points where I thought that Bill was going to be a bust, and there was a reason that he fell to the 7th round in the first place. And then there were some games like the Chargers game and that Cowboys game where he decided to lock in. He decided to shoot the gaps that he was supposed to shoot and get upfield, fight for as many yards as possible, and get into the end zone. So these statistics just show that Bill was obviously worth the draft pick. Getting him in the 7th round was a steal, especially with the running backs that were taken before him. And on top of that, it was worth trading Brian Robinson. I forget exactly what Brian Robinson was traded for, but I guarantee if we never traded Brian Robinson Jr. in the first place, we never would have allowed Bill to put up these type of numbers and potentially fight for the running back 1 role next season. Obviously, he had to split touches with a guy in Chris Rodriguez this season, who, in my opinion, I think did a lot more with the touches he was given. However, this was a contract year for Chris Rodriguez. He had a lot to play for, as well as a lot of money to play for. We saw last season with a guy in De'Ami Brown, the receiver, who was more of a deep threat for us. He had that one good season, was able to connect really well with Jaden Daniels, and because of that, he asked for a lot of money that the Commanders did not want to pay him. He got a deal with the Jaguars, I think getting paid $10 million a year. And that's just something that we cannot do. We can't have these guys coming in and having one good season, then feel like they deserve to be paid a lot of money. Obviously, we hate to see what Chris Rodriguez is asking for during this offseason because he could be looking for a number like that, a number like De'Ami Brown was asking for on the upper end of a starter, or he could be looking for more of a team-friendly deal because he believes in what the team is building and knows that by allocating more money other places, we can create a more well-rounded team and get back to the NFC Championship. So that's it for me today. I appreciate you guys watching till the end. Please go down below, drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you know every time I post a video. And if you guys haven't already, I have a TikTok that I'll be able to link down in the description. Go down there, drop a follow, and you also see some more videos there. I'll make sure to post a video here soon. Hopefully we'll have the defensive coordinator picked out. We'll continue to go over the draft process. We'll go over free agency. We'll go over our pending free agents, who we want to bring back, who we want to let go, and we'll continue to dive deeper into that. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching till the end. Have a great day. God bless. See you guys next time. Hail to the Commanders.